Welcome to the DGD podcast. As always, Robert Reynolds, Juan Daniels, welcome in Texas to the SEC via the DGD podcast. Kyle Umlang, Texas guy.
What's up, guys?
Kyle, welcome to the
What's
show.
going on, Kyle?
Not the much.
Can you hear us?
Just
There we go.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, man. I think, obviously the news broke a little bit ago. So we obviously wanted to strike while the iron was hot. So as SEC fans, as Georgia fans, we've got some questions, and I think we'll open up some nice discourse. Shout out to the Brigade. I see the Brigade coming in hot. Utah is all sorts of things right now, which is to be expected.
Synonyms for trash.
Synonyms for trash. Utah is trash. That is the thing going on here, Kyle. So keep that in mind. Obviously, the show, we're going to do this and then we'll jump straight into it. The show is brought to you by our friends over at Apotheos. Listen, 30 years of experience based out of Kennesaw, official coffee and cold brew partner of the Classic City Collective. Listen, head over to dgdpodcast.com/Apotheos, shop their coffee, get you some coffee. You're supporting the NIL. 20% of each bag will go towards the Triple C. And listen, it's great, excellent quality coffee. My God, what a day! But
like
let's jump straight into this. Yeah, dude, I didn't have enough of my coffee. First off, let's jump straight into this. As a Texas fan, what are your thoughts on the Texas jumping to the SEC a year early? Obviously, we knew y'all were coming. We knew you and Oklahoma were coming. But you moved a year early. So what are your thoughts on that, getting there a year early?
I mean, we'd shoot for 2023, but Oklahoma, since they don't have any money, they had to find some change under the couch, I guess, to finally that's needed. So glad we're finally doing it.
Blessings on blessings.
A long time ago. Yeah, our department generated 100 of revenue during the COVID season. $50 million is nothing. I'll hang for 2024 with it.
Now, I was about to say, I know for a fact Texas has got one of the strongest brands, if you will, in all of sports. Now, I'll stick to the collegiate level because we are focused on college and not pro. But in the country and when it comes to universities, there's no doubt that Texas is one of the brands. Black Adonis says your audio is choppy. He might be alone, but if so,
it is a little bit. It's a little bit.
Oh, it is a little bit. Okay.
I got a spring for that better Wi-Fi, I guess.
Is he about to learn what KDG Wi-Fi is?
Yeah, somebody put in their Vivo Wi-Fi.
Oh no.
Yeah. Hey, I want to bring up real quick. Rand Rodriguez. He just said with the recruiting classes that Texas has, they'll have a shot to win one in the first 5 years. And I'll be honest with you, I agree with him. You've got a great quarterback right now in Quinn Ewers, and then you've got one that's going to be coming up. And then, of course, you're going to have a great, recruiting class getting in some running backs. Bijan leaves to go to the NFL. And then, now you're looking at these running backs saying, hey, I can be successful under Sarkisian. So look for them to have strong recruiting classes. Look for those guys to develop those players and make some noise in the SEC.
I'll stick to this. I think we're talking recruiting right now. Look no further than the 23 cycle. As Georgia fans, we finished second. Texas is literally right there at third. And there was a couple of guys that, Georgia was in on. And, I think obviously every Georgia fan knows who I'm talking about, one being Arch Manning. But if you look at guys on the defensive side of the ball as well, you have Sadir Mitchell was another one that Georgia was in on and ultimately went to Texas. So you have to look at the level of recruiting. Texas itself, utilizing NIL, the brand itself. Listen, they're recruiting where they need to be, in my opinion, very successful in the SEC upon the arrival. Kyle, I don't know if you're familiar with it. But if you look outside of the SEC, right, the common knowledge is, top 10 classes are respected, top 15 classes are respected. But when it comes to the SEC, a top 10 class might get you fifth in the conference. So the fact that Texas is recruiting at the level that they are, and I think that's something that's imperative for the program to succeed at least in football. Adonis says recruiting stars and class rank don't matter. Yeah, I mean, he brings up the Aggies as a perfect example. Yeah, that's also evaluation though, Adonis.
I was just about to slam them. Class of all time.
I mean, they deserve it, rightfully
last
so.
place in the SEC.
God, Juan knows my rants about this. I ain't gonna do it to you, but my God, whew. It was. I mean, I've never been a fan of Jimbo Fisher. That's just myself, but yeah, the fact that they had that number 1 overall class to go and do what they just did this past season. I know Texas fans are loving it.
Wow.
I know y'all are.
Chef's kiss to 2022.
Oh yeah. So overall, I guess I've asked, what's from a fan base perspective, what's the feelings like knowing y'all are getting ready to head to the SEC? I think, obviously one person's perspective, what's the feeling, what's the vibes around Texas right now?
Senior year of high school, everyone's got senior Big 12. What everyone's against us. Whatever. We're about to go to SEC. Like everyone always says on Twitter, I hope we don't play y'all until like 10 years down, because y'all are good. Just excited. It's going to help with everything. Recruit, attendance, everything. You name greater for everything, and y'all will get more money pockets too, as with Texas and Oklahoma got 49 million. I could see that jumping up another next couple years per school. Great for everyone.
Hey, Kyle, can you try to do something real fast? Just obviously this is live, so a little bit trickier.
Sure.
Try bouncing on to I know you were on your computer. Try your computer, and if we have to sacrifice the video, I would rather sacrifice video than try. Let's just see if the connection fixes itself. But if you did not hear it, I know it's kind of choppy, so our apologies there. I think the key thing for me, and one while we allow our guests to come back, was, you talk about what Texas brings to the SEC, right? Listen, I know they're eager, and he can say, he can say that they're nervous to play, and I understand. But at the same time, when I look at it, I think Texas can be successful immediately. And I think when you look at the 23 cycle, right, defensively, they're working to get the pieces in to come in and be ready to go. And I think, as SEC guys, we kind of understand that it's built in the trenches. And when you look at what they're doing defensively, I think, obviously we know Sark's been an offensive guy, but I think they're making progress. As Kyle returns. Kyle, are you there, sir?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Crystal clear. So Okay, so let's re-answer the question. What are the what are the vibes for Texas as a program from a fan base perspective?
We're just very excited to start playing. I think, like y'all said, we're gonna make an impact right off the bat. I feel. You know how A&M was a middle tier Big 12 team in first year in the SEC. They go 11-2. I have a feeling we can do that. I've been wanting to join the SEC for years, just so I can finally put to bed that SEC defenses are stellar and amazing. Because I've just from the outside looking in for the past 10 years, I feel like y'all have been just normal. And because we always play, not counting Arkansas last year, we always play SEC teams pretty closely. Bama in 2022, LSU in 2019, Georgia in 2018. We've always played SEC teams well. So I think we'll be fine coming in. I'm excited to join and play with the big boys.
Excuse me. I look at it this way, and I know what I was saying is while you were getting resituated, I think y'all are working. Obviously, Sark with offense is never a question, but I do think that defense is going to have to upgrade. When you're playing, because I'm assuming we'll probably move into a 9-game conference.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that, right, when you're playing that many teams, ultimately, I think the trenches is where it starts and upgrading that. And I was telling Juan and everyone else that, Texas is working. You can see them getting pieces, looking back at the 23 cycle to try and, holster down that defense and get it where it needs to be. Offensively, I don't think there's a question. I mean, you look at what's on the roster now, and obviously when it comes to 24, I'm not going to count Xavier Worthy because I'm assuming he's gone after this next year. But, you look at guys like Cedric Baxter that y'all brought in the freshman class. You've got Quinn Ewers. He's a junior now, right? Redshirt sophomore?
Yeah, redshirt sophomore.
So if he does well, you might see him go, but you have Quinn Ewers to back him up. I mean, Archman, to back him up.
Right.
So, I mean, the offense and the weapons around it is not necessarily the question at all. I do think that the defense is, is where, I think Texas could benefit. But you also mentioned, though, you've played these SEC teams close. I want to ask your thoughts on the 2022 game against Alabama, because in my opinion, I thought y'all were screwed out of that game. Now, obviously, there were multiple games or plays within that game that that ultimately could have changed it. But I look back to the what y'all did, and Quinn Ewers, the time that he was playing really flashed to me. What are y'all's thoughts on Quinn Ewers obviously having last season to go off of? What are y'all's thoughts with Quinn so far?
No, I love him. I know he makes a lot of mistakes, but people forget he's a freshman. He left high school a year early, played like third string at Ohio State, did like 4 snaps, and then came and played right off the bat straight to Bama, his second game to ever play. And I thought he did great. He was electric. He was stellar. He did exactly everything we thought. Then he got injured, which, by the way, I have to add is the only way Bama can ever beat Texas if they knock out our star quarterback. That is the only way.
It goes back to Colt McCoy too.
Yes. We are.
Oh, wow.
We are 8-2 against Bama. Those 2 losses are when they knocked out our quarterbacks. He got injured. That was a big, almost. I thought it was a nail in the coffin, but the defense kept us in the game. And Hudson Card did well. Not as well as Quinn was doing. I think if he didn't get hurt, obviously we would have had a big shot of winning. If that weird safety thing that got missed in the end zone, flagged Texas when Jalen went down. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And whatever, it doesn't matter. We'll get him next year. It'll be the biggest loss Bama's had in Tuscaloosa under Saban. Which, by the way, if you know this, it's only like 8. If we beat them by like 8 or 9 points, I think that's the record. They don't lose by much if they ever lose in Tuscaloosa.
I was about to say
also,
that.
Don't forget about that missed sack.
Blitz,
that corner blitz was just an inch, but that's why Hurts is so good. I mean, that's why Bryce is so good.
Bryce Young is just generational. They don't have. Listen, y'all play again, and y'all, like you said, you're going to Tuscaloosa this year, and they don't have Bryce Young. I'm going to go ahead and
and coordinators. They're toast.
I mean, listen, I know Tuscaloosa is a difficult place to play. Juan, you've played there before, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, even then, I would assume it was still difficult to play there. Maybe not as difficult now, but
no, probably not as difficult now. They didn't have nearly what they had, now what they've had back then. But yeah, so yeah. Kyle, I'll tell you what, man. Again, you guys, the great thing about you guys coming over to the SEC is you guys have been the big dogs. You and Oklahoma, the big dogs of the Big 12. So you're bringing big dogs over to play with some big dogs, and I think that you guys are going to fare pretty well. and you mentioned 11-2, and that's not far fetched at all. But obviously, there's things that make you want to say that you guys are going to be 11-2. What are some of those things?
What do you mean?
Like as far as what is it? Defensively, you guys are going to be. Are you guys going to be?
I mean, I think offense is never really an issue for Texas. I
Yeah.
think improving the D line over the next 2 years is the key to being able to hang in the SEC. I think our offense can hang with anyone. It's just the defense. But we've made great strides just in the last year, and I hope that continues. I hope Gary Patterson continues doing I don't know what he's doing exactly, but if he can keep doing his magic against the big games, that's what I care about.
Yeah.
I think we're in good hands.
Correct.
Sorry, say that again.
Wasn't Gary Patterson at wasn't he a head coach at Northwestern?
He was at TCU.
No, TCU.
TCU. Okay.
Yeah, he was a longtime head coach and then went to take the Texas.
Yeah, from 2000 to 2021.
Okay.
Speaking of what, I know this is interesting, but like with TCU, did you see that coming? Because
no one saw that coming. Big Game Boomer at TCU projected as the 10th place finisher in the Big 12 last year.
I mean, but that's not.
No one had them. Yeah, brand new coach. It makes no sense. I don't think they'll be as good next year. There's no way.
Now, I do want to transition slightly into this, right? So when y'all join the SEC, instead of going to, I don't know, Texas Tech, right? Going to Lubbock or going to, Kansas or whatever, right? You'll be going to places like Bryant-Denny, Death Valley, Between the Hedges, and obviously on a more consistent basis, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on going to these different venues and things like that? Because as a Georgia fan, I'm sure you're probably thinking this the same thing. I'm loving the fact that Georgia's going to get to go to DKR and go to Norman every so often, right? Like I'm extremely excited about that because not only are you getting good quality games during the regular season, but you're getting a chance to go to these environments instead of playing Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl or playing Texas in a bowl game. Now you get to play them during the regular season, home and home, and it's just, man, it's fun. It's just exciting for me.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Being in the Big 12 is okay, but playing an away game at Waco or in Waco does not have the same thing as playing in Starkville. Like even with Mississippi State, even if Mississippi State was 5th in the West that year, if you go to Starkville, they're going to bring everyone they got. It's going to be a crazy crowd. Whenever we played Arkansas in 2021, people were saying Fayetteville was just crazy, insane. It was just a regular game. And I'm very excited for that electricity that SEC fans have that I feel like it's just missing everywhere else. Going to any of those venues, it doesn't matter the team or the ranking. It's going to be electric and it's going to be awesome. I'm very pumped.
So Black Adonis asked a question, and I think ultimately I'll preface the question based off of, surviving in the SEC. There's a lot of depth, and I think depth is a key factor in being successful in our conference. Obviously, like I said, right now I don't know if you're familiar with SEC, but if you aren't, 8 games, right, within the 2 divisions. When Texas Oklahoma joined, I'm expecting not necessarily, being a single division, but, Black Adonis posed a question. Do you not think having to play SEC teams weekly will have a bigger physical impact on the players themselves? What are your thoughts on that?
Nah. I mean, y'all get y'all's mid-November game against Chattanooga every year to rest up. So I'm excited for that. We haven't played an FCS team since 2006. I think we've played 4 total ever in the history of the program. Y'all get to play them every year. So I think if you throw in that, I think it makes up for it. I don't want to play FCS, but that's what everyone else does. So I guess we'll have to. But I think that break, I think will be fine.
Yeah. What I do love is Texas is a premium team. So you're not just playing, the Vanderbilts. You're playing Texas, where it's normally you would only get Texas when it's a bowl game or
Right.
You're in the college football playoffs. So just know, obviously, every team is going to give you their absolute best because they want to show, hey, Texas doesn't belong. But that helps fire you guys out just to say, hey, you guys definitely belong. Same thing with Oklahoma. So that's going to be the exciting part. You guys are coming into a great situation. The stadiums and everything is going to be great. But what about when you guys host SEC teams? I'm pretty sure you guys are going to be crazy and rowdy.
Yes, I went to the Bama game last year. It was awesome. I really thought I would see a lot of trashy Bama fans, but there weren't. They were all nice, friendly, knew their football. It was nice. I met some, took pictures with some. They're great people. I'm excited to meet other fan bases as well. Y'all are probably the first Georgia folk I've ever interacted with, really. So if that brings more, if that unites us all as fan bases, getting to play y'all more, then I'm all for it. I like everyone.
Because I was curious. I was going to ask when at the Texas game, right, against Bama. Did they travel well for that? Ultimately, I think Texas fans probably used their allotted tickets and they weren't giving them up.
No, it was hard to find a ticket. So they traveled well for what was available to them. I did see a lot of Bama fans. So I know every SEC team travels well, so I don't think that'll be an issue.
Well, I mean, I'll say, obviously Georgia fans travel. It doesn't matter where you go. That's just Georgia's thing. Bama, I would assume, probably does. Just because there's pockets around the nation. You know what I mean? But ultimately, let's see. So we'll pose a question here. Ran Rodriguez pops in from the chat here from the Brigade. Are you guys seeing how Texas is starting to offer a bunch of Georgia kids? Which kind of, I guess we can kind of revert a little bit back to recruiting. And I think I saw something earlier about, what is recruiting going to be like? I hear this stigma that now you have the SEC patch on your jerseys. That's going to impact recruiting. Do you see that truly being, being a boost to recruiting, whether it be,
for sure.
Texas, or if you want to go national and go try to pluck a kid out of Georgia or Florida. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it makes it much easier for us. We've been having top 10 recruiting classes during our worst period of football since 2010 to present. We've had top 10 classes almost every year. It's never been an issue. But what differs between us and a top school against Georgia or Bama, if you come down to Texas, Georgia, Bama, your top three schools, and you want to play in the SEC. Sorry, Texas, you lost it regardless of your NIL deal, regardless of everything. I want to play in the SEC. I want to go to the NFL. But with Texas in the SEC, it's kind of now I don't have to worry about the SEC stuff. I can factor in other things that Texas brings that others don't. We're top tier right now in NIL stuff. The city, Austin, is just electric and crazy. There's all sorts of great things going on for Texas, and just throwing on the SEC patch, I think will do a lot of those. We'll switch a lot of those coin flip recruits towards Texas, where we have been losing those same guys over the past decade.
So yeah, you guys, for a while, I guess the only ones that I knew, especially from Buford is a big time powerhouse down in Georgia. You guys had Darian Brown, who came up to Texas. And then the past 2 or 3 football games, I've seen Steve Sarkisian out, down on the sidelines talking. So obviously he is doing a great job of kind of spreading himself around and making sure that he's getting to these top tier programs in order for him to be successful. Because if you can recruit in Georgia, you recruit Florida, Alabama, then you're going to be pretty successful. And then, Black Adonis says, if Texas isn't, successful in the SEC, do you see that, Kyle, as something that hurts recruiting?
No, we weren't successful in the Big 12 the last decade, and it didn't hurt recruiting. So it's only going to help recruiting. Can't go anywhere but up.
I mean, I would assume, obviously we've alluded to the brand, right? I think Texas sells itself as a brand.
Right.
So ultimately, to answer Adonis's and spin off of that, what you answered it with, Kyle, I think the brand will keep Texas at least at a floor, right? That's fairly sustainable. However, like you said, it can definitely help, I would assume. I've never I don't know. Maybe it's just because we're Georgia fans. I've never really bought in the SEC recruiting pitch, right? Just go out there and dominate, and kids will want to play for it and develop them and stuff. But yeah, I mean, listen, everybody's got their own pitch. That's why, right? That's why recruiting is never, easy in regards to that. Adonis also says he's never heard anyone say Austin. I'd love to live there. I've never been to Austin, so I can't say. I've been to San Antonio.
Black Adonis has not visited Austin. That's what that means. He knows no one who's visited Austin.
Surprise, everybody. But no, so I want to kind of ask you a question in regards to the scheduling, right? We talked a little bit about it, right? The thought is, 9-game conference schedule. There's been talks. It's, obviously the pods kind of went away. You're looking at a single division potentially. You're looking at maybe 3-6-6 model. I want to pose this question. It's more of a hypothetical to some degree. So of the 3 opponents that you could be based with, right? We don't know anything officially, but
right.
What are the 3 that you would want to see, and what are the 3 that you think you will see?
I cut out there. What was the last thing you say? What 3 I would want to see?
Well, yeah. So what are the 3 opponents, right? The permanent games.
Yeah, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and A&M.
Now, are those the 3 that you think you'll see, or is there something different?
Both.
Okay, no, so it applies to both.
It's the 3 I want to see and the 3 I think we're going to see.
So you said Arkansas, Oklahoma,
and A&M. Yep.
And
those are our oldest 3 rivals, and it would just be awesome for the brand, for the SEC, for the conference, for just football in general to play those guys every year.
Juan, you played back in the mid-'90s, and I think the thing that the SEC prides on is tradition, right? Yeah. And I think all of us can agree to that, right? Like you look at, obviously, they're going to protect the Red River Shootout. They'd be stupid not to do that. Right. But then you talk about A&M, right? Like the Lone Star Showdown, that was something that you'd have to, from the outside looking in, it's a whole different beast, right? Like it's like a Texas fan looking at Deep South Sonus Rivalry or the Cocktail Party.
Exactly.
But there's bad blood there. Like, what are your hold on, I want to ask this because if I can shit on A&M, I'm going to do it. Do you think A&M ran from y'all just to find out that in 2024 y'all are coming after them again?
Yes, they jumped from the conference they could not win. They did a great job the first 2 years, but then everyone figured out who they were, and they've been kind of mid since then. Their classic season is an 8-4 season. You win like your 3 easy non-conference games. You win a FCS game. There's already half your wins for the season, and then you just got to go 50-50 the rest of the games to get that 8-4. And they've been doing that consistently for a long time. They had all this time to one up Oklahoma and Texas. Like no, boo boo. We're better than you. We're in a better conference. And what they have to show for it is a 5-7 season and a worse recruiting class in Oklahoma and Texas. It makes no sense.
It's beautiful.
That they were angry that we were joining. They said, well, over our dead body, they're joining. And then they lost and we joined. So I think they obviously wanted to get away from us, have their own identity. And they had 11 or 12 years to get it, and they didn't get one. So now they're going to be back as the little brother to Texas and Oklahoma when we join.
God, I think so Rand poses another excellent question. And I think I'm going to let Kyle answer this, but I do think, Juan, might be something that we do answer to as well. Rand, I'll share it up here. It says, do you guys ever think the SEC championship will ever move? Meaning he can see Jerry Jones fighting to bring it to Dallas. I think the SEC would hate it if that happened. Kyle, I'll let you go first. I have some things to think about, but I'll let you answer that first.
Yeah, how long has it been played in Atlanta? Forever?
The first
two were in Birmingham.
Yeah, the 92 was in Birmingham. 93, I think, was Birmingham. They moved it to a Georgia Dome.
Yeah, no matter where you move it, somewhere in the South, it's gonna be a home field advantage for someone. The whole conference is in the South. There's nowhere you can move it where someone's not gonna be upset about it. So I think it'll either stay in Atlanta or maybe you know how like the Big Four. There's the Big Four bowl games, and they used to rotate the championship game between those four every 4 years. It could be
you talk about like
yeah. I'm talking about BCS era. Like I could see something like that where it's like Dallas, Atlanta, Birmingham, and some other place.
I don't think they would do Birmingham right now,
or New Orleans or something. Just have it rotate. Who knows? But I'm fine with it staying.
I will say though, Kyle, since you said it that way, I think the bottom line is we want the SEC as a conference wants to make the most money, right? So,
right.
Would that question be imposed? One, see if you see what I'm seeing here. The ability to rotate it from Atlanta to Dallas, you're talking about a ton of money being made potentially, right? I guess you could say the idea and the possibility of making that money. I mean, just think, because what Jerry World, what is like 80-some thousand or something like, I don't know the numbers.
Something like that.
So I mean, like, and the SEC championship game is such a spectacle. Like when you're in the SEC championship game, everybody watches. You can't say that. You can't say everybody watches the Big Ten championship, the Pac-12 championship. No, nobody, not even close, in my opinion. So if you get 80,000 seats filled up of rowdy Georgia, Texas fans, on top of how many TVs throughout the Southeast is going to be watching that and all around, I would assume Greg Sankey might be thinking about something like that. It makes sense to me, because the more money you make, the more revenue splits each school gets, and that's just separating ourselves from every other conference ultimately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why do you have anything? How do you want to answer that question?
I think a rotation would be good, not only just from a revenue standpoint, but also recruiting. There are going to be, the SEC championship being in Georgia, a lot of high school kids from Georgia and surrounding states have the luxury of going to see that game. Whereas if you move it to Dallas, now you've got that recruiting group that has an opportunity to see it, even if it's not Texas in the SEC championship. It could be someone else, Oklahoma, it could be Missouri, whoever. It still gives them an opportunity to experience it. And I mean, what does that do for recruiting? A kid who would not necessarily want to go to Texas because it was the Big 12, but now that they're SEC and they go and see what it's like in Jerry World to be at an SEC championship, man, they'll be like, wow, I can help get Texas or Oklahoma or Missouri or whoever that's up in this area to that point. That's huge for recruiting.
Yeah, it's going to be huge for every school if you can change that championship game location.
I mean, I see the ideology of it. I think it would make sense. Ultimately, I think obviously the powers that be, obviously named Greg Sankey, would have to come up with the idea. But hey, if Greg Sankey ever tunes into this episode at this specific time, you heard our pitch. Okay, I'm just saying. Black Adonis, what year do you see Texas competing for SEC championship? Honestly, it's not necessarily the word. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a jab. I think that's a serious question. I can honestly see. Do you see Texas coming in and competing for the actual championship right away, or do you think it might take a little bit?
It all depends on how we do in 2023, how the structure is going to be set up for divisions or pods or however you want to do it. Once all that's into play, I'll have a better picture. But I mean, probably like A&M, probably our best time to strike is probably our first year there, where no one knows exactly how we're going to be playing. Not knowing what to expect. I think 2024 is our best shot at making some noise. But we could have Georgia's 2023 schedule. It is, not to be mean, it's laughable at how easy it is. And it is. I've never seen anything like it. And y'all will be the first team to three-peat in the AP era. It's never happened before. So
I will say
your chances are extremely high.
Check out Michigan's last season. It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah.
I could do it, but I'm not going to.
Yeah. It all depends on that kind of. If we can get a great schedule, recruiting ties into that. I think in the first couple of years we could compete.
Apparently, Adonis has a vendetta against Texas for some. What's causing all this, Adonis?
It's because he lives in the country somewhere and he wants to see the big city one day, and he's just jealous.
Got a straw hat.
Yeah.
Straw hat, fat lip, full of dip, and
right now he's at the public library right now, just typing away.
He had to get in there with his library card and everything.
Yeah,
man, I get it.
Did you see my library card's expired? What is this? But no, I mean, ultimately, I do think that Texas can come in and I mean, the crazy thing, Juan, is this. I think it was the second year Missouri came and won the East.
Yeah,
I think it was the second year they were in.
They've been twice, I think, since they've joined.
Well, no, I think it was just the 20, right when they joined the 20, the second season.
Auburn. They played Auburn, got absolutely bombed.
I mean, Auburn. Yeah, that was a wild year. I'm not saying I'm not opposed to either Texas, Oklahoma doing anything like that. I think it can be done. I think you'll see Texas off the rip jump into the top 5. Might be a hot take for some, but
Missouri made it 2013 and 2014.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's. I mean, when I look at it, I think the key though is like if Oklahoma is a different situation and both teams are different in situations right now. Texas has the offensive-based head coach. Venables is defensive-minded. So you're looking at two different trajectories ahead of the formation into the SEC, and I think that's going to cause some intrigue as well and suspense too.
Yeah.
So I think I want to ask this question. Obviously, we talked about the SEC environments and things like that. What is the one environment, one stadium, one city, or whatever that you're most looking forward to going to?
Probably Death Valley. I had plans to go. My brother, he's getting his doctorate at LSU. His whole family lives in Baton Rouge. I was supposed to stay with him and go to the game in 2019 or 2020, but it got canceled because of COVID. But everyone has said got to go to Death Valley, so I'm putting that as my number one bucket list.
Well,
for SEC venues.
You didn't get to go to LSU when you played, did you? I don't think that was a place that you went to.
Nope, that's one I wish I would have had a chance to go to.
Man, that's another thing, Kyle. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but like A&M joined in 2012, and Georgia, I think the first time we're going to Kyle Field is it's supposed to be 24.
Yeah, so, I saw this crazy thing that was Bama and Georgia have been in the SEC since the 30s, and I think
something like that. I
think Georgia's been to Tuscaloosa like a handful of times since in like 100 years. Pretty crazy.
The model that they have with the two divisions, to me, is severely flawed. And I
yes.
And the good thing about it is Sankey knows this. He's attested to it in comments and things like that. And I think that's good because I think as we move forward as a 16-team conference, I do think that the scheduling format will be altered to a point where it's going to be – I think you're going to see somewhat fair scheduling in regards to the permanent teams while also preserving some traditional key rivalries. I think you'll see a more balanced approach when it comes to home and home. Juan played 4 years, and how many schools did you never get a chance to go see, Juan?
It was just Arkansas and LSU.
Okay, so it could have been worse, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Because and as a fan, I want to see as many stadiums as often as possible too, right? Like
exactly.
And like A&M has been there, but we haven't been able to return the favor. It's just, to me, we know it's flawed. Sankey knows it's flawed, and I think collectively, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia fans can all say we hope that the new schedule model will kind of push that, because honestly, I can't wait to watch Georgia play in Austin, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, because you're going to see so many damn and this is another thing. y'all are missing out, man, because I think this year might be the last year of Gary Danielson. So y'all don't get to experience Gary Danielson. So y'all are lucking out. Y'all are absolutely lucking out.
Hey, if it was my choice, we'd already be there. So not my fault.
I mean, fair. I'm looking forward to it. One, I think, when you look at all this right here, like the revenue splits and stuff, the key benefits to that, right? I think that's massive because, when the TV rights deal comes out, now you're adding Texas and Oklahoma. I've heard at one point, I thought there was somebody saying that you could honestly see an average split between schools being like close to $100 million a year. With the addition of Texas, Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's gonna be ridiculous.
But that's going to be so beneficial for not only football, but you're going to look at the ability to, from an athletics department, be able to disperse money and build better facilities for your Foley Field, right, Juan, like baseball team, or facility upgrades for the new track and field. They got a new room, I think a locker room or something, like a new facility upgrade. So being able to not only just focus on football, but better expand throughout all the sports, because Texas looking at baseball, looking at swimming. Texas is really big in swimming.
No, we're big in everything except we've never gotten past the Final Four in basketball. That's our weak spot.
Yeah. Well,
but revenue wise, this is a little old, this data, because that's just what was last available before COVID. But with revenue, if Texas joined a couple years ago, they'd be number one in the SEC for revenue. Oklahoma would be top 5. And you're talking about I think this was 2019, 2020 season. They brought in $224 million in revenue.
Good gracious.
Whereas Vanderbilt brought in $80 million. You're not just adding 2 more schools. You're adding big powerhouse schools. Yeah, the revenue is going to jump up a bunch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at it too. I mean, again, you're bringing in 2 top tier programs. People are going to want to see Texas play anybody. They're going to want to see Oklahoma play. They're going to want to see you guys play each other. No one wants to see Vanderbilt versus Missouri, or you know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to see that. But what they want to see is, again, Texas, and those numbers that you're throwing out there. Just bringing all that just makes the SEC that much stronger. Makes the recruiting, makes every bit of being a part of the SEC that much better. And guess what? There are so many teams out there that want to be Texas right now. They want to be Oklahoma right now, and they can't.
Yep.
So like that's the biggest thing. What how many games do you see yourself making this year?
This year or the 2024 season?
Or sorry, 2024. I'm sorry about that.
Probably I'm gonna shoot for. Well, that year we're playing Michigan at Michigan to start the season, so I'll probably go to that one, and then I'll just pick the biggest team that's going to Austin that year and go to that one too.
Oh, nice.
So I'll do an away game and a home game.
Now, is there somebody else that you travel with that you guys just kind of get together and have your little fan base? We have, our guys that just kind of get together and then just travel, and they're just kind of rowdy. Do you guys have something similar?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I just text my peeps, where's the tailgate, and they just send me where I'm going. I don't schedule any of that. I just show up. So, but yeah, there's plenty of groups that go around to everything. So I'll just be following them.
Welcome JH22 says y'all will enjoy Austin, and I'm pretty sure. And it's crazy because you talked about there weren't a lot of tickets for that Texas game, and that was an 11 o'clock game for you guys. So
yeah,
for you guys to have that much fan enthusiasm for an 11 o'clock game shows exactly who you guys are and what you guys additionally are bringing into the SEC.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for as long as I can remember, we've played the Red River rivalry at the same time every year, and that place is always packed. So, and I think the year before we had like 5 games at 11.
Oh wow!
Wow.
That's not going to be that big of a deal.
That's the Big 12 trying to screw us over, but I'm looking forward to playing all the schools, going to all the stadiums, all the different time slots. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I think that's going to be fantastic for you guys. I'm excited for you guys to be a part of it. Having Oklahoma, Texas only makes the SEC that much stronger. Again, and sad for your buddies. I think Patrick said, have you guys checked on your TCU counterparts?
What's left of them?
Yeah. Yeah, poor TCU. They didn't get a conference championship. They didn't get a national championship. Didn't get the Heisman. They got 12 wins though, so I guess that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I want to ask this question, Kyle.
Sure.
What do you think is going to be more hostile, the last year in the Big 12 or the first year in the SEC in regards to fan base?
Hey, I mean, this year was crazy in the Big 12. Next year is going to be just a shit show. But man, that SEC crowd though, they're going to be chanting that SEC crap all in our faces. It's going to be wild. I don't know, man.
Y'all know the Horns.
That's a hard one.
We comment too.
Oh, I don't even understand the horns down anymore. It's lost its value. It means it's people trying to be cool. Like you'll see it in a baseball game between Baylor and like Tarleton State. You'll see someone in the crowd do a horns down. Like, where is that? Why? Where is that coming from? Thanks for thinking of me, I guess. I don't know.
I think the only thing that might be derived as to why it's still going is the fact that, like, from an outsider's perspective, right? Like, we're just like, because if I'm not mistaken, if someone did the horns down, it was a penalty. So I'm sitting there looking at it like, why is that a penalty? I didn't understand that. So
I know that story used to resurface every summer. Like around the same time, it would say, "Oh, the Big 12 is talking about penalizing horns down," and I don't know where it came from or who started it or whose idea it was, but it always comes back to, "Oh, Texas just being babies about it." But it's never in our control. I have no idea who started that.
I see Kobe in the chat. Oh, Kobe's got some bad blood, I think. Kobe, you were on the team that got beat by when we got beat by Texas in the bowl game. He might have some bad blood there. Maybe I need confirmation.
Yeah,
but ultimately though, I'm looking forward to Texas. Both schools coming in. I think both schools are going to bring in different, perspectives, different things to look forward to, different things to despise, and right. Hell, you never know if you might see a Georgia-Texas manufactured rivalry, or hell, I still think, I don't know why they wouldn't do this just for shits and giggles, but put Texas and Tennessee together and battle for the real UT.
I love playing Tennessee in any sport because that debate comes up every time, and it's Twitter gold. I love it.
Maybe you can make that's the thing, right? Greg Sankey, I don't get paid enough. If you just want to throw up like a decent amount of change, you ain't even got to go crazy. We'll come up with the ideas, marketing ideas. There we go.
Exactly.
I think Kyle, you guys will be fine. And if you think about it, 2019, you guys gave LSU their second closest game.
Yeah, they did.
And so you guys have fared pretty well against SEC teams. So I think that you guys will fare a lot better than Oklahoma will. I mean, Oklahoma versus SEC teams did not do so well. I mean, Oklahoma got grabbed in that semi.
I mean, you said Venables was all defense. I didn't see any defense last year, so
yeah, y'all did put up 49 only and no points back. But with that being said, though, thanks for coming on. I know we took up some good amount of time here. Kyle, if anyone outside of Texas doesn't know where to find you, where can they find you, my man?
No one outside Texas, or no one inside the state of Texas doesn't know me. So this is for everyone. This is for Kobe and who's that Black Adonis guy? Come find me on Twitter. My pictures work on there. You can see my face. You can come bark at me. I don't care. I love engaging with everyone. I'm a lot of fun, so just come say hi, and I'll come say hi back.
He might purr back at you or something. You know, I still have a vendetta against Biva for Russian Ugo.
Oh man, that was I loved that. That was so much fun.
You know what? I had a steak the next night and I called it Biva as I cooked it.
Oh, okay. You
do
do what you got to do to take the L. That's all you got to
do. You know what? Put some A1 on it. I was good to go. I was happy. but nonetheless, we obviously, you know, Texas coming in. Obviously, we're all looking forward to this. Again, thanks for coming on the show, man. I think it's nice to have a Texas perspective of, you know, what y'all are expecting, what everybody's trying to expect from Texas as they join the SEC.
Yeah, anytime, guys. It was a great time.
Yes, sir. With that being said, though, folks, make sure to like, subscribe, right? Ring the bell, get notified when we go live, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, everything like that. Leave us a review if you're listening on podcasts. With that being said, we're going to wrap this thing up. Juan, we will see you Monday. I think folks might want to tune in because it's going to be interesting. I'm going to leave a little tease there. That's all. With that being said, have a great rest of your weekend and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Welcome.